Is your local business or organization looking to give back to the community? Help keep our roads clean by joining the Adopt a Road program administered by Keep Tampa Bay Beautiful. Keeping our roads clean is a great way for team building as well as exposure for your business. Select the road your business wants to adopt and dispatch a team to remove litter and debris. Participants will receive 2 signs showing their organization's name as well as safety equipment and instructions for cleaning roads. You can help keep Tampa Bay beautiful by adopting your own road today. To learn more, visit hcfl.gov/cleanhc.
These are the jobs you may not see every day, but just know we're working hard to make Hillsborough County a better place to live, work, and play. Subscribe to our YouTube page for more great county-related videos, only on HTV.
Don't let mosquitoes ruin your day. Fight the bite by removing standing water on your property. Standing water of any kind is a breeding ground for mosquitoes. Do your part and help reduce the mosquito population. Visit hcfl.gov/fightthebite.
Good morning and welcome to the January 7th, 2025 land use meeting of the Hillsborough County Board of County Commissioners. Would everyone please rise for the pledge and invocation given by our chaplain, Commissioner Myers.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, gracious Heavenly Father, I come to you thanking you for another day, thanking you for a new year that we have not seen. Father, I pray and ask in your name as each applicant come before us today to discuss their project. Give us the grace and the wisdom to discuss in your name. These blessings I ask in Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Commissioner Myers. Before passing things over to Mr. Grady to go over the changes, I want to state that Commissioner Cameron Cepeda will be absent from today's meeting. She had a death in the family and is attending a funeral service. And with that, Mr. Grady, you want to go over any changes to the agenda?
Good morning, Commissioners. Brian Grady, Hillsborough County Development Services. In addition to the withdrawals, continuances, and remands on the published agenda beginning on page 3, we do have the following changes to the agenda. On page 9, item E2, PRS 25-0091, there was a revision to the agenda that correct reference to the existing zoning to a reference to correct zoning being PD 21-1335. On agenda page 9, item E4, PRS 25-0104, revision of the agenda to make correct a reference to the correct comprehensive plan underlying future land use designation for this property as UNU 20. On page 12, item G1A and G1B, additional party records have been added to the backup. On page 13, item G2B, the modification description in the agenda was revised to correctly reflect what the requested modification is related to the DRI amendment. Next changes on page 10 of the agenda, item F1, major mod application 24-0368. The report, a revised report was submitted in the file to correct the scriveners that are on page 9 of the report to correctly reference, the report referenced the wrong direction regarding describing adjacent uses, and so that was corrected to correctly reflect the correct direction for that statement. And then item 6 on page 8, item C1, vacate petition 24-0011. A revised report was added to the record to reflect changes to update references of the clerk's name to Victor Chris and update the affidavit of notice publication. And those are all the changes to the agenda.
Can I have a motion to approve the changes?
Move for approval.
Motion, Commissioner Myers, second, Commissioner Cohen. Please record your vote on the changes to the agenda.
Motion carried 6-0.
All right, can we have a motion for the consent agenda?
Move consent.
Motion for Commissioner Cohen.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Myers. Please record your vote on the consent agenda.
Motion carried 6-0.
If anyone who's here for a B item, your application's been approved. Mr. Grady, I want to go over the first, or the only vacation item we have.
Yes, the next item is agenda item C1, vacate petition 24-0011. Real Estate Services will present this item. Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. For the record, Anne-Marie Lenton, Division Director for Facilities Management and Real Estate Services. Item C1 today is vacate item V240011. This is a petition by Jared and Bethany Dalfino. Jared Dalfino is the Hillsborough County Manager overseeing vacates. So pursuant to County Policy number 1.6, Employee Disclosure of Conflict of Interest, which requires employees to disclose actual or potential conflicts of interest, Mr. Dalfino completed the conflict of interest disclosures, and consequently other staff have overseen this agenda submittal. Mr. and Mrs. Dalfino are requesting to vacate the following items. Number 1, a portion of a platted utility easement which consists of approximately 1,795 square feet, which is 0.04 acres. And secondly, a platted guying easement consisting of approximately 50 square feet. The proposed vacate areas were dedicated through the plat of Brentwood subdivision as recorded in Plat Book 45, page 33-1, and are generally located south of Bears Avenue and east of Northdale Mabry Highway in Greater Carrollwood, Northdale. The petitioners have submitted this request to 1, cure an encroachment of a pool and pool enclosures into the platted utility easement, which appears to have been in existence since approximately 1980, so created by a prior owner. And secondly, eliminate an unused and obsolete platted guying easement. Reviewing departments, agencies, and utility providers have raised no objections to this request. Staff recommends approval of this petition. Thank you for your consideration. I remain available, and my staff remain available for any questions.
All right, thank you. This is a public hearing. Would anyone like to speak to the item? Not, can we have a motion?
Move for approval.
Motion, Commissioner Myers, second Commissioner Cohen. Please record your vote on C1.
Motion carried 6-0.
All right, thank you. This time, if you're planning on testifying today, would you please stand, raise your right hand so the clerk can swear you in?
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? All right, thank you.
All right, Mr. Grady, you want to introduce the first E item?
Commissioners, the first E item is agenda item E1, PRS application 25-0077. This is a request for a modification to a 11.3 acre PD located at the southeast of the intersection of Fishhawk Boulevard and Bell Shoals Road. The request is to modify the site plan to add a new building to the PD site plan, and the new building is located in the southern southwest corner of the parcel. No increase in entitlements are being proposed as part of this modification. Staff is recommending approval and will be available for any questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Is the applicant here? Good morning.
Good morning. For the record, Kevin Reale, 401 East Jackson Street. I don't have a traditional presentation for you all today. If there are questions, I have some slides I can bring up. This request, I think, is straightforward. There's no change in entitlements or access. It's an existing and established commercial area, and we're just changing the internal layout. So barring any questions, I respectfully request approval.
Thank you, sir. Are there any proponent testimony? Anyone in opposition? Can we have a motion?
Move approval.
Motion, Commissioner Cohen, second Commissioner Miller. Please record your vote on E1.
Motion carries 6-0.
All right, E2.
Commissioners, next item, agenda item E2, PRS application 25-0091. Commissioners, this is a request for a minor modification to an 80.9 acre PD approved for 242 single-family units. So located in the Ruskin area at the northwest corner of 19th Avenue and 12th Street Northeast. Commissioners, this is requesting some internal design requirements regarding the single-family lots within the project. These are provisions to provide for aesthetic improvements along the roadway frontage for the lots in the internal roadways. The first request is to modify a requirement requiring alternative driveways to allow for flexibility in compliance with that provision to accommodate for drainage easements and utilities. The second change is a requirement regarding the design of the building frontage, the front facade facing the street. The current requirement is requiring the front entry for the building to be flush at a minimum with the setback with the garage. This would allow for the front entry to the home be set back from the garage, but in lieu of that would require an architectural treatment with a covered front entry with columns. Staff is recommending approval and available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Is the applicant here? Good morning.
Good morning. Cammie Corbett with the law firm of Hill, Ward, and Henderson. I think Brian did a very thorough job of explaining the request. We're here to answer any questions should you have them.
All right, thank you. Any proponent testimony? Any opponent testimony? All right, can we have a motion?
Move for approval.
Motion, Commissioner Myers, second Commissioner Cohen. Please record your vote on E2.
Motion carries 6-0.
All right, E3.
Commissioners, the next item is agenda item E3, PRS application 25-0092. Commissioners, this is a request to modify 4.7 acre parcel located on the north side of Big Bend in the old Big Bend Road. The request is to modify the site plan to remove a building and transfer those entitlements to a larger internal building within the request. No changes in overall entitlements are being requested, and staff is recommending approval. And we're available for any questions. Thank you.
All right, is the applicant here? Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Commissioners. David Smith, 401 East Jackson Street, Suite 2100, a planner with Stearns Weaver Miller. Once again, keeping the theme going this morning, staff's done a very good job of summarizing this. There's no increase in entitlements. There's no increase in height. We're just rearranging the square footage to put 4 stories in the building at 50 foot as opposed to 3. And we're correcting an error on the site plan that referenced an FAR incorrectly. I'm here to answer any questions, but I do have a presentation if the board needs to see anything on that.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Anyone in support of the application? Anyone in opposition? Can we have a motion?
Move approval. Second.
Motion Commissioner Cohen, second Commissioner Myers. Please record your vote on E3.
Motion carries 6-0.
All right, E4.
Commissioners, the next item is agenda item E4, PRS application 25-0104. This is a request for a modification of approximately 137.09 acre parcel located the southeast of the intersection of Covington Garden Drive and Big Bend Road. The request is to modify the site plan to, this graphic shows basically the current approved layout of this parcel, the top graphic. This request is relocating the stormwater pond as shown in the bottom graphic and then reconfiguring the layout of the commercial mixed use and multifamily pods to, as part of that redesign of it. The area in the southeast corner with the hatched is an area that would allow for both multifamily and or commercial uses. Uses in that area are restricted to commercial general uses to address compatibility with the adjacent parcels to the south. Staff is recommending approval and will avail for any questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you. The applicant here.
Good morning, Cammie Corbett again with the law firm of Hill, Ward & Henderson. Another straightforward request. We're just reconfiguring the site to accommodate the stormwater pond. We actually had it in the wrong place. Seemed like a good idea at the time, but further engineering, we needed to move it around. So we're here to answer any questions should you have any.
All right, anyone in support of the application? Any opposition?
Move approval.
Motion to approve by
Second.
Commissioner Cohen, second Commissioner Miller. Please record your vote on E4.
Motion carries 6-0.
All right, Mr. Grady, F items.
The next item is agenda item F1, major mod application 24-0368. This is a request for a major modification of a portion of a planned development. This is modifying a 1.94 acre parcel within the PD. It's the southern parcel of the PD. The PD includes this parcel and also the parcel to the north. The PD is currently approved for 3 residential uses, 2 mobile homes on the parcel to the north, and then a single-family conventional home on the parcel that's the subject of this modification. I would note this is in a light industrial plan category, and this plan category does not allow residential uses, but again, this is a zoning conformance PD that does, notwithstanding, does allow residential uses. The modification is requesting to add the ability for open storage in the back half of the property for trucks and other vehicles, and also to add an accessory dwelling to the parcel. As you see, staff was not supportive of it. Our primary issue with respect to the compatibility was the lack of any buffering screening proposed for the open storage area adjacent to the other lot within the PD, because again, that lot is, notwithstanding, is approved for single-family uses. Planning Commission also found it inconsistent, and the hearing also did not recommend support of this request. Staff is available for any questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you. The applicant here. Good morning.
Good morning, Board. God bless you. Todd Simi, P.O. Box 191, Gibsonton, Florida, 33534. Here also for the applicant, Mariella Silva. And let me just get down to it, be as quick as I can. I'm going to the Elmo here. This is a PD that was approved here in 91, this PD on our property here. Our client is Mariella Silva. Her daughter is here who is asking me, please, Todd, don't let me get up there and say my name, I'll pass out. But she was there at the Lujo supporting the request on behalf of her mom. Okay, her mom, beautiful mom, was overlooking Columbia, and as she was overlooking the scenery in Columbia, a motorcycle hit her from behind. I included in there, in the Lujo, some of the pictures there that she had suffered over there. So that's why she's not here. But this is their request here. This, okay, now this site plan, as you know, this is the site plan. This is our property here. We own this driveway. Okay, is that popping up here on the screen? What's going on? Okay. There you go. Now, this is our driveway. This is our property. This is the PD that was approved in 91. This is the existing home. All we're asking here is for outside storage in the back, okay? And so there's been no opposition. Nobody's opposed us but the staff. We could work things out. They've asked me, they've just given me some conditions that we agreed to in their request for this. This is their livelihood. I just want to show you, these are, so you see, okay, this is our driveway. Mosaic is our neighbor. Mosaic loves us. We love them. They're over here. Okay, we own this driveway. We've agreed to a 5-foot buffer and a new driveway coming through. This is our open storage area. This is our existing home, and this is where her daughter's gonna live, who lives in the house now. This is owner occupied, okay? They own it, they live here, they run the business with the 900 square foot accessory dwelling for her daughter. We've given the future land preservation for the road taking and the widening on 78th Street, okay? We've agreed to an opaque fence around the perimeter, okay? And just so you have a flavor of what it looks like there, okay? This is the front of the house right here, okay? This is that right there, and then you guys are gonna take a bunch of property in the future, which we've agreed to. Here's our driveway. Mosaic is our neighbor over here. They love us, we love them. They could use our driveway anytime. We own this driveway. We come through here, and we go ahead and lead all the way back. This is still our driveway over here from the fence over. This will be the 5-foot buffer that you're requesting. Here's the rear of the house that you just saw right there, okay? Here's our backyard. Okay, this is our property line. Here's Mosaic. This is what we look at back here. We're cool with them. No problem. We love Mosaic. Okay, they love us. So all we're doing, if we had to put an opaque fence around here, that's what we're doing. Here's our other picture. Here's Mosaic in the back corner of our property. No problem there. Okay, so again, this is what we have here. We respectfully request your approval. We have no opposition, and the Lighthouse Gospel Mission has also supported with a letter of support that was entered into the record, and I have a copy of that, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, sir.
Real quick, Mr. Simi, just to confirm for the record, Mr. Simi, just to confirm the record,
Yes,
you're now agreeing or offering a 6-foot opaque fence screening around the open storage area, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
All right, anyone in support of the application? Anyone in opposition? Planning Commission?
Good morning.
Sorry, Mr. Simi, we'll come back to you. Go ahead.
Good morning, Melissa Leinhard, Planning Commission staff. The subject property is located in the light industrial future land use category. The site is in the urban service area, and it is also located within the limits of the Riverview Community Plan. Due to the existing residential uses to the north and east, the proposed modification is not compatible with the existing development pattern of the surrounding area and is therefore inconsistent with future land use element policy 1.4 that relates to compatibility. The light industrial future land use category allows for the following uses: processing, manufacturing, and assembly of materials, including food products, storage, furniture, or apparel manufacturing, packaging plants, wholesaling, storage of non-hazardous materials, and warehouse and showrooms with retail sales. Light industrial does not permit any residential uses except for limited accessory residential uses such as on-site security guards. The light industrial future land use category also does not permit any new traditional residential housing development beyond the limited accessory residential as described. The subject site currently has an existing residential unit
on the subject site and proposes another accessory dwelling, but does not specify for what purpose. Therefore, the requested modification is not consistent with development that's expected in the light industrial future land use category. The proposal also does not meet the intent of future land use element Objective 16 and its accompanying policies relating to compatibility. Objective 16 states that there is a need to protect existing neighborhoods and communities and those that will emerge in the future. Future land use element policy 16.1 requires buffer areas and screening devices between unlike land uses, while policy 16.2 requires gradual transitions of intensities between different land uses. The applicant has not made it clear how the proposed modification will mitigate for the proposed open storage use. The site transitions between the existing residential use and the proposed open storage use. Policy 16.3 also states that development and redevelopment shall be integrated with adjacent land uses through the mitigation of adverse impacts. Staff's concerns have not been addressed by the applicant through the application process. The proposed modification does not meet Objective 16 and its accompanying policies related to neighborhood protection and compatibility. The subject site does not meet the intent of the Riverview Community Plan. Goal 1 of the community plan seeks to achieve better design and densities that are compatible with the vision of Riverview. The goal seeks to provide appropriate and compatible buffering and screening and transitions to existing adjacent land uses for open space. The proposed open storage uses do not provide appropriate nor compatible buffers. Based on those considerations, Planning Commission staff finds the proposed modification inconsistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan. Thank you.
Hearing Master.
The zoning hearing master considered the proposed major modification to Plan Development 91-123, which is currently approved for 2 mobile homes and 1 single-family home. The modification proposes to add an accessory dwelling unit and open storage as permitted uses. The applicant's representative testified at the hearing that the property owner is in the trucking business and commercial trucks are proposed to be stored on site. 2 plan development variations are being requested. The applicant proposes to reduce the required buffer on the northern side of the parcel from 30 feet to 5 feet and eliminate the required type C screening to the adjacent residential parcel. The applicant also requests to reduce the required buffer on the eastern side of the parcel from 30 feet to 0 feet and eliminate the required type C screening to the adjacent residential parcel. The applicant stated in their modification request that the variations are justified based upon surrounding heavy commercial land uses and gypsum stacks that are located to the rear of the property. Development Services does not support the requested modification based on the lack of screening to the northern and eastern residential parcels and no proposed design efforts to mitigate the possible adverse impacts of the open storage. The zoning hearing master found that the applicant has not provided the requested information to county staff and planning commission staff to adequately review the request, and therefore the request is not supportable. The zoning hearing master concluded that the proposed modification to add open storage to the existing PD is not consistent with the surrounding residential zoning to the north and east and is therefore inconsistent with the land development code and the comprehensive plan. And therefore the recommendation was for denial.
I thank you. Before I go to Commissioner Cohen, I got one question for Adam. Does with the applicant agreeing to the fence, does that satisfy staff's concerns regarding the buffering and screening?
Yes, Commissioner, that is a significant addition to the conditions. We wrote that into the draft conditions, as well as reflecting the agreement that was communicated here today to have the southern driveway at least 5 feet from the southern property line. Both of those are very positive steps and go to address the compatibility concerns that we raised.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Cohen?
Mr. Gormley, if we could just clarify something. The objection to the lack of screening, which I understand is now being mitigated for with this fence, but the objection itself is it's a lack of screening against properties that don't actually have anything on them, correct?
Correct. It's the northern half of the PD.
And so it's property that's owned by Mosaic essentially between this and the gypsum stack that he showed?
It's to the north of this one. So the gypsum stack is to the west. It's to the north. It's part of this same plan development and is approved for residential uses. It was that potential for residential use that is what.
But there isn't actually a residential use on the property now.
That's
okay,
correct.
Thank you.
Commissioner Wolster.
Mr. Gormley, when in my briefing you said that we could make the requirement for the buffer only in the event that residential for some reason is built by Mosaic on the northern property. And to clarify, this property sits adjacent to the perimeter driveway of the 270-foot gypsum stack. So I don't know that anyone moving in would be so objective to a small outdoor storage rather than that massive stack of gypsum directly behind their house.
Yes, sir. And if it's the board's pleasure to have that screening be conditioned on if the northern parcel is developed for residential uses, then the screening would apply. That's certainly an option. We can write that into the condition as well.
I move for approval of the application with the condition that the 6-foot buffer screening only be required in the event that residential is manufactured on the northern adjacent property.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion by Commissioner Wilson, second Commissioner Myers. I don't see anyone else in the queue. Please record your vote on F1.
Motion carries 6-0.
All right, F2.
Next item is agenda item F2 is rezoning standard 24-1142. Commissioners, this is a request to rezone a 1.56 acre parcel on the northwest of the intersection of Castlewood Road and US 92 in the Sefner Mango area. The request is to rezone from RSC2 with a mobile home overlay to commercial general with restrictions. The restriction is to limiting the site to contractor's office with enclosed storage. Commissioners, based on the surrounding development pattern, including the fact that the adjacent CI zoning to the east has a similar depth as this parcel from the intersection, and given the surrounding zonings at this particular intersection of Castlewood and US 92, staff did find this compatible and is recommending approval. Planning Commission, this does need a waiver to location criteria. Planning Commission did not find it consistent with the comprehensive plan and found it, and again, did not support waiver of location criteria and did find it inconsistent. The hearing officer recommended approval. Staff's available for any questions. Thank you.
All right, the applicant here. Good morning, sir.
Mr. Chairman, board members, Todd Pressman, 200 2nd Avenue South, number 451 in St. Petersburg. This is RZ Standard 24-1142. If we could pull up PowerPoint, please. Thank you. So this site is residential single family seeking commercial general, but the restriction is to a single use, which would be a contractor's office with enclosed storage, not outdoor storage. The zoning department is ZHM approved. We're located in the Sefner Mango area. Looking a little closer, we're on Highway 92. This is the property as the property appraiser has it. It is an intensive intersection in terms of these kind of uses. You have a light and signalization, industrial, commercial use, plumbing and dewatering across the street, and Ted's septic tanks abutting on the south. This would be the light and signalization company across the local street, Ted's septic tanks, and the plumbers, which are located also at the intersection. This is a site of 1.46 acres, approximately. Now, critically, commissioners, to the west is TECO. They own the entire property to the west. We have a letter on record that they support it. And the single residential to the north, we have a letter also that they support the request with no opposition. These are the two letters in the record. You'll see in terms of zoning along the corridor is very intensive, including commercial intensive and commercial general at the entire intersection. Zoning staff, as Mr. Grady said, find the request consistent and compatible, same depth as the other uses, continuation of the existing commercial development. Transportation EPC have no objections. Highway 92 carries 14,200 trips per day at the 2020 count. It's a principal state arterial roadway. Some of the community plans support this request, such as incentives for higher land use densities and intensities, as we're asking for here, along transit emphasis corridors. The Planning Commission brought up a number of points which we did not agree with. Number one, that the CG is not compatible. We believe it is. Number two, they referred to the local highway, but the site does have frontage on Highway 92, same as those three corners. And a finding that we were across the street or closely located to residential, which we found we did not agree with. Planning Commission also noted about residential development pattern, although the residential and the neighbors were showing you have no opposition. So when you look at those comments, to the north is a single residential, approximately 500 feet away through the forestation. So certainly no impacts there. Again, we have a letter of support. But to the east is the signal company, as you can see here, then the residential. So the residential is not adjacent nor abutting. It's quite a distance away and is buffered by the other company. And we did not receive any opposition or letters of communication from the residential to the east. As well, Planning Commission also noted that it should only be applicable to retail, or should restrict retail development, which under the condition we're strictly requesting a contractor's office with enclosed storage. Under the Sefton Mango Community Plan, one of the goals is commercial development only directed to US 92 of Martin Luther King. So in the entire Sefton Mango area, these are the only two roadways that would contain this kind of use. That's also recognized in the strategy on the community plan. Again, commercial character of US 92 is recognized. That's where these uses should go. And again, under a strategy, support infill development, which this would be as well. So we've asked for a locational waiver based upon all these points, which we think support the locational waiver quite well. Now, importantly, the ZHM approved the request, but also noted there was one citizen in opposition that referred only to a frontage issue, which we do have frontage on 92. That was something that was misunderstood. And noted, although the Planning Commission always does a great job, the zoning hearing master noted that there was an incorrect element about the commercial in the area and the adjacent residential. Those findings she found were not correct, along with the retail concern. So with that, Mr. Chairman and board members, Mr. Winter is here. Here he is, right here. Just for a word or two. He is the applicant. Just for a word or two. Thank you.
Good morning. Just wanted to let you know that we're just a small business that we're not open to the public. We just needed a place for us to call basically home, someplace that would have inside storage with a small office area inside the warehouse, and that's what we're looking to do. We're only there from 7 till 4, Monday through Friday. We have emergency call out, but guys are based at home and go from there.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Sir, please state your name for the record.
Frank Lawrence Winter.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Any proponent testimony? Anyone here in opposition? Good morning.
My name is Grace McComas. I live at 8050 Old Darby Street, Sefner. I'm here to represent, support, and protect our community plan and comprehensive plan. This rezoning from Res 2 to CG in our rural area is not the intent of the Sefton Mango Community Plan. The applicant's representative states in his narrative, property would exit onto Castlewood, as Mr. Pressman said, a local, rural, dead-end road. This is true, as the property would not have commercial locational criteria for access to Highway 92. Also, the fact that a commercial property abuts to the south, Ted's septic tank, along the north side of Highway 92. So his property is the second property up the road on Castlewood. The old existing commercial to the south, as referred to, has been existing since 1969, and the commercial intense American signalization has been there for many years. And I think prior to the time that they were non-conforming and were allowed to make up the difference, I think 1992. The newer commercial general properties recently approved are along Highway 92. I must contradict Mr. Pressman. The Sefner Mango Community Plan directs commercial to the commercial quarters in the urban service area to the west of State Road 579, Mango Road, where commercial is encouraged. Our goal 2 states, within the rural service area, residential development shall reflect its rural future land use designation. It also discourages commercial encroachment into the residential areas. In goal 3, we recognize the commercial character of 92 and Martin Luther King Boulevard within those stated areas of the urban service area. Doesn't go into the rural area. According to the comprehensive plan, the CG is to provide for a variety of retail and service uses for freestanding buildings and shopping centers to serve the community's general commercial needs. This district should also apply at appropriate locations to conveniently meet the needs of the community in conformance with the goals, objectives, and policies of the comprehensive plan. Will not adversely impact the facilities and services of the county, and where it will not set a precedent for the introduction of inappropriate uses in this area. Approving this residential property to commercial general will definitely set a destructive, undesirable precedent in our rural area. We have a comprehensive plan. The goals and policies were set by the county for the future land use. We have community plans that expresses the quality, intentions, hopes, and lifestyle expectations of the residents of the community. This request for CG zoning of residential property in this rural area is inappropriate, inconsistent, incompatible for the area. And these facts are clearly stated in county policies, comprehensive plans, and community plan. Please deny this zoning. As representatives of your citizens and this county, please do not vote against your own comprehensive plan and policies and our community plan. Please. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else in opposition? Mr. Pressman, you have an opportunity for rebuttal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Todd Pressman again for the record. Ms. McComas is a fine citizen who has a broad concern of Sefner Mango, but as I know her well, she does not live near this location. She speaks on a more broad basis about Sefner Mango. The reality is that we've not received any communication of opposition or concern from any affected or nearby property owner. In fact, as I've indicated to you, we brought forward letters from the abutting owners to the north and to the west. The intersection is commercial general in terms of those intensive uses as the corridor presents itself. The community plan clearly directs these kind of uses, 100% commercial activity on this roadway and only one other roadway in the Sefner Mango area. So we're certainly in the correct location there. In regard to comments Ms. McComas has, I believe that addresses it, and happy to answer any questions you might have. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Planning Commission.
Thank you. For the record, Melissa Leinhard, Planning Commission staff. The subject property is located in the Residential 1 future land use category. The site is in the rural area, and it is also located within the limits of the Sefner Mango Community Plan. Future Land Use Element Policy 1.4 requires that all new developments be compatible with the surrounding area, noting that compatibility does not mean the same as, rather it refers to the sensitivity of development proposals and maintaining the character of existing development. The proposed commercial general restricted zoning district is not compatible with the existing rural residential character of the area. The site is located along Castlewood Road, which is a local roadway and not an appropriate location for a contractor's office, given the potential operating characteristics of a use, including heavy equipment like trucks, operating hours, lighting, and noise. The site is located adjacent to single-family residential development on its northern boundary, with mobile homes located directly across Castlewood Drive to the east. Therefore, the request is inconsistent with this policy direction, as the proposed zoning district would not maintain the character of existing development in the area. Because the request is for a neighborhood serving commercial use in a residential future land use category, the request is subject to commercial locational criteria. The subject site does not meet this policy direction, as it is located approximately 2,500 feet away from the nearest qualifying intersection of McIntosh Road and US 92, both of which are two-lane roadways. According to policy 22.2, properties in the residential 1 future land use category located at these intersections must be within 660 feet of the intersection. At 2,500 feet away from the nearest qualifying intersection, the subject site is more than 3 times the distance that is allowed by commercial locational criteria requirements. The distance requirements are put in place to control the scale of development and place non-residential development in locations that are appropriate for more intensive uses. Future land use element policy 22.5 emphasizes the importance of a transition and intensity of uses away from major intersections. Because the site is located at the intersection of a local roadway and a principal arterial, the request for CGR zoning is inconsistent with this policy direction. Future land use element policy 22.7 indicates that CLC is not the only factor to take into consideration when developing non-residential uses. Considerations involving land use compatibility carry more weight than commercial locational criteria, according to policy direction. Based upon the adjacent residential development pattern to the north and east, the requested CGR zoning district is inconsistent with this policy direction. The applicant has submitted a waiver request per future land use element policy 22.8, and while the waiver request points out the commercial zoning in the nearby area, only one of these parcels is zoned for commercial development. This parcel is located directly to the south of the subject property along US Highway 92 and is utilized for commercial purposes according to the existing land use information provided by the property appraiser. While the site is located directly to the south, is utilized for a septic tank business, the other commercial zoning districts nearby contain single-family homes and mobile homes. No unique circumstances were identified by Planning Commission staff with regard to this CLC waiver request. Given the significant compatibility concerns with the proposed zoning district, Planning Commission staff recommends the Board of County Commissioners deny the waiver request. The subject property does not meet the intent of the Seffner Mango Community Plan. While Goal 3 directs commercial development to US 92 and Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard's corridors, it restricts non-residential development along US 92 outside of the urban service area to existing commercial zoning districts. As the request is to rezone the subject property to CGR and would be adding a commercial zoning district, the request is therefore inconsistent with the vision of the community plan. Based upon those considerations, Planning Commission staff finds the proposed rezoning inconsistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan. Thank you.
Hearing Master.
The zoning hearing master considered the applicant's request for rezoning to the commercial general restricted zoning district. The property is 1.56 acres in size and currently zoned RSC2 mobile home, designated residential 1 by the comprehensive plan. The applicant has proposed to limit the use of the property to a contractor's office with enclosed storage only as a restriction to the proposed CG Commercial General Zoning District. The Development Services Department supports the rezoning request as there are commercially zoned parcels immediately to the south, directly across Castlewood Road and directly across US Highway 92. Additionally, staff testified that there is existing commercial development on the surrounding properties. The property owner to the north and TICO, who owns the property to the west, submitted letters of no opposition into the record. One citizen testified in opposition based upon the parcel not having frontage on US Highway 92 and the incompatibility of commercial land uses in the area. In response, Development Services Department staff testified during the hearing that the subject property does front US Highway 92. The zoning hearing master found that there are commercially zoned parcels to the south and east, and there are no mobile homes directly across Castlewood Road, nor single-family residential development north of the subject property. The zoning hearing master noted that the applicant's restriction limits the use of the property to a contractor's office with enclosed storage only. The zoning hearing master concluded that the proposed rezoning to commercial general restricted is compatible with the surrounding zoning and existing development pattern. The proposed restriction that limits the use of the property to a contractor's office with enclosed storage serves to increase compatibility. The zoning hearing master concluded that the request is consistent with the code and with the comprehensive plan and recommended approval.
All right, thank you. What's the pleasure of the board?
I move approval.
Got a motion by Commissioner Wilstel for approve.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Myers. Let's see anyone else in the queue. Please record your vote on F2.
Motion carried 6-0.
All right, thank you. Next item.
Next item, agenda item F3, rezoning standard 24-1204. Commissioners, this is a request to rezone two parcels on the east side of Gun Highway and the Keystone Odessa area north of South Mobley and south of Racetrack Road. Again, the request to rezone two parcels totaling 1.22 acres from ASC1 and AS1 to AS1. Commissioners, the ultimate effect of this would allow basically both properties for their entirety to be able to be developed with mobile homes, because that's the significant difference between the ASC1 and the AS1 zoning district. As currently right now configured, only the back third of the parcels could develop with a mobile home, given the AS1 zoning in the front. So again, the request would allow for AS1 zoning over the entire parcels. Staff is recommending approval. Planning Commission found it consistent, and the hearing officer also recommended approval.
Thank you. The applicant here. Good morning.
Good morning. Bryce Pinson with Half Associates, 1000 North Ashley Drive, Tampa, Florida. As Brian stated, we are requesting a rezoning to all AS1 to allow for a mobile home. The only reason that we are not on the consent agenda today is because we had a couple letters of opposition that had to do with the non-conforming lot size. However, both of these are certified legal non-conforming lots. So we had no objections from reviewing agencies and were recommended approval. So I'm here if you have any other questions.
All right, thank you. Any proponent testimony? Anyone here in opposition? Hearing Master or Planning Commission?
Excuse me, Melissa Leinhardt, Planning Commission staff. The subject property is located in the residential 1 future land use category. The site is in the rural area, and it's also located within the limits of the Keystone Odessa Community Plan. The proposed rezoning meets the intent of neighborhood protection policies that modify Objective 16 in the future land use element. The development pattern of the surrounding area shows several residential units, and the proposed rezoning would reflect a development pattern that is consistent with the character of the area. The subject currently has a vacant land use, and additional residential uses exist directly north, west, and east of the subject site. Vacant properties are located to the south. The community design component provides guidance on residential developments. Goal 8 encourages the preservation of existing suburban land uses as viable residential alternatives to urban and rural areas. Goal 12 and Objective 12-1 seek to facilitate patterns of development that are both compatible and related to the predominant character of the area. A rezoning to allow the development of a duplex would be consistent with this policy direction. The site is located within the limits of the Keystone Odessa Community Plan, and in that plan, under the Rural Residential Community Character Strategy, the community desires to retain its rural residential character as an area of lakes, agricultural activities, and homes built on varied lot sizes in a scattered development pattern. The proposed rezoning from ASC1 to AS1 to allow for the development of a mobile home will complement the area and meet the intent of this policy of the community plan. And based upon those considerations, Planning Commission staff finds the proposed rezoning consistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan. Thank you.
Hearing Master.
The zoning hearing master considered the applicant's request for rezoning to the AS1 zoning district. The property is comprised of 2 lots, which total 1.22 acres in size, and currently zoned ASC1 and AS1, designated residential 1 by the comprehensive plan. The parcel is located within the rural service area and the Keystone Odessa community planning area. Development Services Department staff testified that the 2 lots that are proposed for the rezoning were determined to be legal lots of record and legally nonconforming in terms of lot size. The applicant's representative testified that the property owner may combine the lots into 1 lot for the development of 1 mobile home. This is the purpose of the rezoning. The zoning hearing master concluded that the proposed rezoning to AS1 is consistent with the Land Development Code and the comprehensive plan and recommended approval.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Wilson.
I've been supportive of this plan, but it's 1 mobile home, so I'll move for approval.
Got a motion to approve, Commissioner Wilstel. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Cohen. I don't see anyone else in the queue. Please record your vote on F3.
Motion carries 6-0.
All right, now G1A, G1B, we'll have a combined hearing.
Yes, Commissioners, G1A and G1B can be heard as a combined hearing, so I will speak to both items as part of our introduction. First, is G1A. This is a major modification to the Apollo Beach plan development. The request is for a modify a 49-acre portion of the property of the plan development as indicated in the site plan. And here's a close-up view of that area. The Commissioners, the request is to reconfigure the layout of existing approved entitlements within the project. The parcel is entitled to, pursuant to this graphic, the areas in the darker shaded areas is permitted 130 attached or detached units. The request is, again, to modify the layout as indicated on the site development plan to provide for the same number of units as detached single family. As part of this, I would also note that this area is also permitted a yacht club, which they are removing as part of this request. They're also requesting to remove the ability to attach single-family units, and there will be private boat docks for the residents. I will note for the record, the transportation analysis does analyze the traffic and did indicate, based on the changes they're making, that there would be a reduction in overall trips estimated for this project. I'll note for the record that the table in the staff report transposed the numbers and did not reflect that reduction as indicated in the transportation staff report. But again, the information in the first page of the transportation staff report is correct, showing that overall transportation trips are estimated to be reduced with this request. And again, the key being that it's currently entitled for 130 units and they're not increasing entitlements, just again reconfiguring the layout to do a single-family development over the area based on the site plan, which is providing buffering and screening along the southern and adjacent to existing single-family homes that are adjacent to it. Staff did find this modification compatible, is recommending approval. Planning Commission found it consistent with the comprehensive plan, and the hearing also recommended approval. Regarding G1B, this is an amendment to the Apollo Beach DRI development order to basically effectuate the same changes that are proposed within the G1A item, because the map H within the Apollo Beach DRI it's basically the same as the site plan for the PD, and so that map H had to be recalibrated to accommodate the proposed changes as discussed. Staff is recommending approval of both applications. For G1A, the Planning Commission also found that consistent, and the hearing officer also recommended approval. Staff's available for any questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Is the applicant here?
Good morning, Cami Corbett again with the law firm of Hill, Ward & Henderson. I do have some quick graphics I'd like to show you. They're a little bit duplicative of what staff already showed you, but the subject property is located in Apollo Beach. That's a close-up. This is the approved map H of the DRI. You can see it's been approved for significant development for a period of time. This is the pockets that are being modified. And then again, as Brian indicated, we're asking for the approval of 130 single-family detached dwelling units. We are removing the option to allow townhomes or single-family attached development, and we're removing the yacht club as a permitted use. And we are also providing enhanced buffering and screening where adjacent to existing single-family units. This graphic shows you the areas in blue are the areas that were previously in use as a golf course. You'll see the pockets of development 105, 72, and 70A are already approved for development. So even though 70A was part of the golf course, it's already approved for development. And then in the green, you have the enhanced buffers that we're providing on both sides where we directly abut residential. From this area, it looks like there's a lot of existing vegetation that should be preserved, but on a closer look, this is what it actually looks like. A lot of it it's a lot of overgrown, non-native species, and so what we're proposing is to replant a 30-foot type B buffer to provide good screening and buffering on that side. Pocket 70B, which is the rest of the golf course, is shown in yellow, and you see a very small expansion of the golf course area. While we are not We don't have any plans to reopen the golf course. When my client purchased the property, the golf course was closed, but we are not changing the entitlements with respect to that. We are only in the area that was previously approved for development. This is a site plan that shows what we could do by right now, a much more intensive development pattern with single-family attached units in the existing pockets, plus a yacht club, which, although it would be a private yacht club, could be open to people outside of this community. We did receive several calls about this proposal, and most of the people we spoke to were very happy that we were going to be continuing the large lot, single family development pattern. And this is what that looks like. The red lots are existing approved large lot, single family development, and the blue is a continuation of that pattern. They will share a joint entrance at Hammock Bay. And many of the people that we spoke to were very happy that we were removing the opportunity to have a yacht club, which could have outside boating traffic coming to the area, and instead replacing that with private docks. And as staff indicated, and this is an example rendering of the entranceway, the shared entranceway, and as staff indicated, we do have all recommendations for approval, and we would respectfully request your approval, and here to answer any questions you might have.
All right, thank you. Anyone in support of the application? Anyone in opposition? All right, can we have a motion for G1A and G1B?
Move for approval.
Motion
Second.
Commissioner Myers, second Commissioner Cohen. I don't see anyone in the queue. Please record your vote on both G1A and G1B.
Commissioner, okay. Motion carried 6-0.
All right, G2A and G2B will also be a combined public hearing. Mr. Grady?
Yes, Commissioners. The next two items, as similar to the last one, will be combined public hearings. So staff will discuss both items as part of our introduction. The first, G2A, is a minor modification to existing plan development that's located in the Brandon area. The PD is located between Falkenberg on the eastern boundary and US 301 on the west, and bounded on the southern boundary by the Selman Crosstown Expressway. Commissioners, this is a request to modify a 5.26 acre parcel within the PD. The purpose of this is to increase the maximum densities within that parcel to permit up to 170 multifamily units. Staff did find this compatible with the surrounding development patterns. You can see a majority of the area. It's a very isolated parcel with wetlands and retention, and there's existing multifamily across the street. Therefore, staff is recommending approval. The related amendment to the DRI development order is to modify ostensibly there's a transportation trip trade-off matrix within the DRI that allows, based on a maximum trip count for the overall PD, does allow for basically trade-off of entitlements between the various approved uses, so as to allow for different uses, but all calibrated so that the maximum trips as outlined in the trade-off is not exceeded. They're modifying that to increase the number of multifamily units available for the trade-off, because all the existing options for trading off of multifamily was utilized by other developments within this PD. Therefore, they're requesting that increase to be able to, because their intent is to trade off their existing non-residential entitlements for those, to accommodate those 170 proposed multifamily residential uses. And staff is also recommending approval of that. And we're available for any questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Is the applicant here? Morning, sir.
Morning, Truett Gardner, 400 North Ashley Drive. Honored and pleased to be here on behalf of Tampa General Hospital and USF Health. Brian did a great job going through the application. Appreciate your time and staff's assistance through this. What we're doing here is novel. TGH and USF are combined, wanting to do workforce housing development to better retain and attract their employees. In order to do that, we need to modify the PD and then also the associated DRI and its development order. We've got a full presentation, but we will spare you that. We're not aware of any objection, but stand for any questions you may have. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Anyone here in support of the application? Anyone in opposition? All right, can we have a motion for both G2A
Second.
and G2B? Motion, Commissioner Myers, second Commissioner Cohen. Please record your vote.
Motion carried 6-0.
All right, Mr. Grady, the I items.
Commissioner, the first items, I1, this is a status report on Live Local development projects, the monthly status report. I would note that as part of this report, we've received no new applications since the last status report at the December BOCC land use meeting.
Is that it?
Yes, sir. We're available for any questions.
Okay, do we even need a motion to accept? Nothing?
No,
Nope.
sir.
Okay, sounds good. I-2, Planning Commission?
Yes, sir. Mr. David Hay is making this presentation. Thank you.
Morning, sir.
Good morning, Commissioners. David Hay with your Planning Commission staff. The last item for your review this morning is an update to the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan Amendment Procedures Manual. The purpose of this manual is to guide the Planning Commission staff, applicants, and other agencies on the process to follow and provide citizens with information on how the plan amendment process works. On December 9th, 2024, during the regular meeting, the Planning Commission reviewed the proposed amendments to the adopted Comprehensive Plan Procedures Manual and voted 9-0 to approve and move these proposed changes forward for your review and approval this morning. The following proposed changes are proposed. Clarify that amendments to the urban service area are map amendments and not text amendments. Removes the additional step of a preliminary review by the Board of County Commissioners of privately initiated text amendments. It makes optional the neighborhood meetings held by applicants and removes steps that were undertaken by staff to monitor the noticing and holding of these meetings. It changes the time frame for applicants to submit changes to the plan amendments to 45 days ahead of the Planning Commission public hearing from the current 30 days ahead to better align with the preparation of notices and staff reports. And finally, it adds specific timeframes for staff and applicant presentations to the BOCC at plan amendment public hearings. In closing, the Planning Commission recommends that these proposed changes be approved and recommends that the changes be implemented with the January 2025 cycle of plan amendments. That concludes my presentation. I'm available if you have any questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Would anyone like to speak to this item? Okay, Commissioner Wellstrom.
Thank you. Anytime I see lots of red ink on a government document, I get personally excited. Cutting the fat is what we should all achieve for a smaller, more effective government. I do want to make sure, can someone walk me through the need to expand from 30 to 45 days? I know you said better align, but walk me through what we're aligning, please.
Well, there's requirements for like mailed notices and things that have to go out. There's also the preparation of the staff reports. Staff has found it challenging that when the applicant can submit changes at that 30 days, we're already starting to get the packets together at that point to get it to the Planning Commission and to you all, and that those changes, that 15 days actually allows staff additional time to ensure that they're understanding the changes that are being proposed and that they're able to review them and get the appropriate recommendations to you all.
So they have a requirement in place to submit by 30 days?
Right. They have to, currently they have to submit within 30 days. If it's after the 30 days, they can still change things, but it would cause a continuance.
What I was going to ask is if it could simply say that staff will be allotted up to 15 days after the submittal of the application for review. Because what I'm concerned about is what if they turn in on the 10th day out of 30? Do you fully extend it to 45 every time? Or can we be held accountable to say, okay, we're going to give ourselves 15 days, and on that 25th day is your deadline?
The application is being submitted. It's not to the actual submittal of the application. That has occurred months before. It's that if they're in some sort of negotiations or something, that the 45 days does allow to get the appropriate noticing out. We've had instances where they're making significant changes on the 30 days, which ends up that the reviewing agencies don't have time to review it, right? And then they don't have time to get feedback back to the staff.
No, I get that. I understand that. I'm saying that if they don't utilize the full 30 days and they only utilize 10, right? Because they have up to 30 days to turn in, right?
They
and so if they give it to you on the 10th day, you want 15 guaranteed days after they turn it in, right? For notification?
No, it's, maybe I'm misunderstanding you, but we have the hearing date. It's 45 days, it would be 45 days prior to that hearing date that it has to be submitted.
Okay. I'm gonna support it for now and then better understand it if we need to change it. Because what I don't want is if it's that if they're ready and prepared and they turn it in quickly, do you still get a whole to the end of the 45 days, or do you just get 15 days after the time they turn it in? So maybe I'm misunderstanding your notification process.
And maybe Melissa can.
Would you mind if I
Yeah, sure.
clarified? I actually
Sure.
have a good example because this is actually happening right now. So for instance, we have a planning commission meeting on February 10th. So this Friday, right, is January 10th. That would be the 30-day, basically the last day the applicant can submit changes. And just so you know, I'm writing the staff report now, and they still have a few days where they can change things. So it just makes it kind of sticky. It gives us a little bit more breathing room internally because we do have kind of a peer review system in place, which is why we have things due a month ahead of the meeting schedule. But if someone, for instance, changes things, pretty drastically on Friday, I have like 2 days to talk to everyone and make sure that the reviewing agencies don't need it again, to kind of assess the level of change and then reflect it in the report itself. So it's just a very quick turnaround that we have right now. The extra 15 days will just give us a little bit more breathing room, and then allows the applicant also, I think it's to their advantage as well, because then it gives information that we can all digest in more reasonable timeline. Does that make sense? Okay.
Not fully, but thank you.
Okay, so we need a motion on the resolution to adopt the amendments.
Move for approval.
Motion, Commissioner Myers. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Cohen. I don't see anyone else in the queue. Please record your vote.
Motion carried 6-0.
Okay, so now we'll adjourn the land use meeting, and we'll reconvene the Land Development Code Amendment public hearing. Welcome to Board of County Commissioners public hearing on proposed amendments to the county's Land Development Code. The board will hold the first of 2 public hearings on amendments to the Land Development Code. No votes will be taken by the board at this time. The board will hold a second and final public hearing on Tuesday, February 11th, 2025 at 9 a.m. to consider the adoption of these LDC amendments. Staff want to introduce the first item?
Good morning, Commissioners. Israel Monsanto Development Services. As you mentioned, this is the first public hearing. We have 3 items. The first item is LDC 250278, time extension of zoning hearing applications, deadlines due to storm-related delays. This amendment, the purpose is to provide for a time extension of 6 months to public hearing applications in the event the county declares a state of local emergency. This extension will apply to any active hearing application pending as of the date of September 23rd, 2024. This extended 6-month time will be in addition to any time extensions currently provided for by the Land Development Code for public hearing applications. The code currently provides for a totaling of 6 months calculation in the event a public hearing is canceled due to an emergency event, such as the COVID pandemic, with the time calculation resuming once public hearing resumed. This provision was applied to applications pending during Hurricane Milton, which necessitated the cancellation of a board land use meeting and zoning hearing mastered to provide an additional month for these applications to be heard. As a result of the recent storms, many residents, businesses, and contractors are grappling with the need to fix, demolish, and redesign buildings, and this is affecting land use applications. This extended 6 months, again, time will be in addition to any time extensions that we currently provide for the code. And the sections that are being amended is 100202B, preheating procedures, as well as 100302C, time hearing by the land use hearing officer. And we are available if you have any questions on this item.
Thank you for that report. Do we have any public comment? Seeing none, we'll move on to the next item.
Next item. Next item, LDC 0282, pre-site construction plan is streamlining process. The purpose of this text amendment is to allow applicants the ability to skip directly to site development straight to construction submittals. This will make the pre-application submittal meetings and preliminary site plan submissions optional. By making both the preliminary site development plan review process or pre-submittal meetings optional, the site development review process will be streamlined and review times will be shortened. And this is going to be maintaining the same strict review guidelines and requirements already that we have in place in the Land Development Code and also the Development Review Procedures Manual, or DRPM. The LDC section 100106 today stipulates that an applicant may waive the preliminary site development plan review process a step prior to the site development straight to construction submittals. But if an applicant chooses to waive this step, attendance to a pre-submittal meeting facilitated by the county is required. This amendment will remove the required attendance to the pre-submittal meeting if the applicant chooses to waive the preliminary site review. Additionally, any applicant who chooses to waive the preliminary site review and approval process and instead directly submit plans to the site development straight to construction review will not be required to provide a statement acknowledging they understand effect by bypassing this phase of the development process. And staff is available if you have any question on this item.
All right, thank you. This is a public hearing. Anyone like to speak to this item? Good morning.
Melissa Nordbeck, Keystone, Odessa. This policy change allows every developer to go straight to construction. No pre-submittal conference, no preliminary plat, no rezoning sufficiency meetings, and would allow design exceptions and variances after they get their rezoning approved. Instead of asking for those exceptions before so you know what you are voting to approve. The preliminary plat is the first rendering that the public can see that shows what a subdivision will look like. Setbacks, number of units, lot size, building height. It shows access points, retention ponds, storm drainage, and open spaces. All very important to surrounding residents that will be directly affected by the new development. The preliminary plat is also the first development order that a citizen can request an administrative hearing with the land use hearing officer if they believe a development is not consistent with the comprehensive plan. This independent review offers a low-cost alternative to litigation and is a significant benefit to the community you are elected to serve. State law requires rezonings to follow several steps. Public notice and a public hearing that require findings of consistency from Development Services and the Planning Commission and a public vote by the board. This proposal would allow developers to ask for design exceptions and variances after they get their rezoning approved, not before. The first sentence on the county's variance application page says, a variance is a request to deviate from current zoning requirements. The very zoning requirements commissioners just voted to approve. Most variances are approved administratively. If that happens prior to rezoning, it is part of the record for the rezoning public hearing. If you allow this policy change, administratively approved variances will be decided behind closed doors with no public notice. Straight to construction means the construction approval is the only development order that can be challenged within 30 days. It is a triggering event and point of entry that is not publicly noticed. The public will only realize something is happening when the bulldozers show up. Today, we also heard Planning Commission proposed policy changes that you approved to the comp plan that eliminate mailing notifications, that allow bright yellow public notice signs to be posted for only 14 days instead of 21, that make neighborhood meetings optional and completely eliminate the rule that an applicant shall be required to conduct a neighborhood meeting if it's requested by a properly noticed resident. And Development Services webpage now only shows publicly noticed development applications instead of every application. Citizens used to be able to go to that webpage and click on a dot to get the project number and information on any development. And that's obviously information you need. It needs to be changed back to the original format. It's clear that Hillsborough County is going backwards in its support of citizens and deference to developers. You should be trying to do more, not less.
All right, thank you. Anyone else want to speak to the item? Okay. I3 or A3?
item. Land Development Code 250283, subdivision plan review permitting improvements. This amendment will create a combined preliminary plat and construction plan review option for platted residential subdivisions with improvements along with an expedited residential building permit program. This combined review option will permit the issuance of residential building permits prior to the approval and recording of a final plat. The amendment will also provide an opportunity to expedited permitting for residential subdivisions while maintaining compliance with substantive review standards and the requirement for infrastructure to support the subdivision to be in place prior to issuance of certificates of occupancies. We are amending one section of the code, specifically section 100105, subdivision review procedures in the code, and we are available if you have any question about this item.
All right, thank you. On this public hearing, anyone like to speak to this item? Okay, if not, we're adjourned. Thank you.